Hello, this is Firefighter Tiger, co-host of the Public Safety Future Responders podcast, back with another episode of our podcast segment that we're calling Operation Standby. On this episode, we will be diving into talking about cyberbullying, with a little bit of some personal experiences tied into it. So we will have a general description of cyberbullying, and then we're going to get into the description with our special guest, Michaela. So yay, here we go, folks. In terms of cyberbullying, you're asking yourself, what is cyberbullying? Well, here's my answer for you from the stopbullying.gov website. Cyberbullying is a bullying that takes place over digital devices like cell phones, computers, and tablets. Cyberbullying can occur through texting and apps or online and social media forums or gaming where people can view, participate, or share content such as YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name social media, there's probably cyberbullying going on there. Most common places, like I said, social media such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, whatever people are now using nowadays to kind of tie into social media. Text messaging and messaging apps on mobile or tablet devices such as your text messaging app, WhatsApp, a few of the others. And then, of course, your instant messaging, direct messaging, and online chatting over the internet, such as YouTube and everything else in between. Emails, online forums, chats. You get the whole picture, folks. So we're going to move right on in. So here we go. Do you have anything you would like to chime in with?
At this time, I would just like to say that, there's a lot of legislation, or not a lot, but there's few bills and legislation that has gone into effect to curb cyberbullying, and it actually, depending on the severity of it, it could actually be a Class C misdemeanor or a Class D felony.
Wow, that is actually very interesting to point out. And thank God we have legislators who are trying to help fight bullying and kind of put in places of legislation in terms of bullying over the internet. And basically, cyberbullying, folks, is kind of when is basically persistent, which are digital devices offering an ability to immediately and continuously communicate 24 hours a day. So it can be difficult for children experiencing cyberbullying to find relief. Hard to notice because teachers and parents may not overhear nor see cyberbullying taking place, which makes it harder to recognize because a lot of times kids are usually, when they're home, they're usually up in their bedroom area or out of sight of their parents, watching videos on YouTube or chatting with their friends or playing online games. And then where like there's the little chat box in the game where you can be chatting with people. So it's kind of hard to notice. And plus also too, kids kind of don't really recognize the fact of informing their parents that I've been cyberbullied and so, which makes it hard. In terms of the 2019 School Crime Supplement to the National Crime Victimization Survey from the National Center for Educational Statistics and Bureau of Justice, indicates that nationwide about 16% of students in grades 9 through 12, which is in your high school area experience cyberbullying, which adding a couple years later in 2021, from the Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, indicates that an estimated 15.9% of high school students were electronically bullied in the 12 months prior to the survey. Which is really shocking because it's hard to spot cyberbullying because, like I said before, it's online, it's via text messaging, so it's kind of hard to really catch it. Even though there might be other people who might see the signs and kind of want to join in and say, hey, you need to stop bullying that person, bullying that account and kind of standing up. I have seen it a few times already on YouTube through different live streamings that I have participated in. In the chat, I've seen cases where some people felt like the need that they were going to bully people via the live chat box, and it's kind of really a shame because now you're almost taking attention away for the streamer's attention away from the stream and having to try to not deliberately try to or call them out, but kind of reminding them, hey, this is live recording, and what you say in the chat box is being recorded automatically by YouTube, so which can be replayed and you can see it over and over. So, And pretty much in terms of that, like I said, most common places on are like social media, text messaging, messaging apps, instant messaging, direct messaging, and online chatting over the internet. Are a few examples, but you also have like I said before about chat rooms, like Reddit. Reddit's like an online forum where there's chat rooms, message boards, um, and then of course you got your game systems like your Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 3DS, and all that, where there's chat boxes. But then you also have it where you also get emails, like which are basically your spam emails. Could be also considered cyberbullying, even though they're spam. You can label them, report them as spam, which is, in my opinion, is a version of cyberbullying because they're just kind of bothering you with like, hey, you want this? Like, no, I don't. Um, so. But really, online gaming has really affected a lot of players online. There's been probably cases of it across the board in the different game systems and just online games in general. Like, you kind of, like it is, when you download the game, folks, really, you got to, even though a lot of us skim through it, there is a section in the terms that kind of state the fact of, hey, just letting you know, what you say in the chat box may be recorded or whatever the case is along those lines. So, anything else you want to chime in with, Michaela?
Not really. You hit everything I was pretty much gonna say, and you made excellent points.
Yeah. Basically, like with cyberbullying, it includes sending slash posting, or sharing negative, harmful, false, or mean content about someone else. Kind of like almost like you within cyberbullying, you kind of also have like what I call virtual blackmail, where you're kind of like, oh, if you do this, then I won't post this about you, or kind of like holding information that I don't, that, oh, you don't want anybody to know, oh, I'll post this and about you. Basically, cyberbullying is the same definition as generalized bullying, like physical bullying that you see in person. Just the only difference is between physical bullying and cyberbullying is the fact of one takes place present in view of people, and cyberbullying also takes place in front of people, but more of an online setting via the chat box or post or making social media posts, and that. So, and then really kind of going about it with Stop Bullying. In terms of reporting cyberbullying, when cyberbullying happens, it's important to document and report the behavior so it can be addressed. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to report cyberbullying because A, it's like I said before, it's hard to find, and B, the people who end up causing the bullying don't want to come forward, and it's hard to track them down. There's plenty of times that people have tried to say something, but it just doesn't want to work. So some steps to take immediately is don't respond to or don't forward cyberbullying messages. Keep evidence of cyberbullying. Record the dates, times, and description of instances when cyberbullying has occurred. Save and print the screenshots, emails, text messaging, and then, of course, use this evidence that you just gathered. So you pretty much play your own little detective. It's like your own little mini detective, to report cyberbullying to web and cell phone service providers. And in terms of phone services and online sites, if there is an option to block that person, highly recommend that you block them. Because once you block them, if they try to bother you, they're going to know. They're going to know something's wrong, and they're going to be in trouble, and you can be happy with yourself that you don't have to deal with them anymore. And then, of course, reporting cyberbullying to online providers. Cyberbullying often violates the terms of service established by social media sites and internet service providers. So, folks, basically, in terms of social media, when they tell you when it's required to read the terms and services, if you're going to skim through it, okay, fine, go right ahead and skim through it. But pay close attention to the part in terms of their terms where they're relating to don't pick on people, don't be rude, disrespectful, and that. Review their terms and conditions or rights and responsibility sections. These describe content that is or not appropriate. View social media safety centers to learn how to block users and change settings to control who can contact you. There are settings all over the place. YouTube has settings, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. There's different settings, but there are a lot of settings out there for that. And feel free to like when social media sites kind of give you that little report box that say, "Hey, you got a problem? Report it." Feel free to use it. Like really, that's all really it is feel free to like report it, because as long as you report the fact that there is cyberbullying taking place, then the social media giants can come in and go, "Hey, you violated our terms and conditions disrespectfully. We will have to terminate your account," or whatever the punishment is from social medias. Not only can you report cyberbullying to online service providers, but you also have law enforcement. Going back to what Michaela was saying in terms of laws that are being passed, cyberbullying can also be considered a crime, as we have already been mentioned to by Michaela. When cyberbullying involves the following activities, it is considered a crime and should be reported. Threat of violence, child pornography, or sending sexual explicit messages or photos. Taking a photo or video of someone in a place where he or she would expect privacy. And then, of course, everybody's worst crime of all, stalking and hate crimes. Some states consider other forms of cyberbullying criminal. That's when you can go look at your own state's laws and law enforcement for additional guidance. And in terms of schools, a lot of days now, especially now that we've even going back to COVID-19, we've seen hate crimes that have occurred, which is also another form of cyberbullying, because you can have hate crimes that can occur online, and that. But in terms of cyberbullying at the school level, cyberbullying can create a disruptive environment at schools, which is often related to in-person bullying. The school can use the information to help inform prevention and response strategies. So like basically in terms of online systems for like schools, like especially during COVID-19, we've all been on like Google Meets, Zoom calls, and that we're still in school, just on a digital online platform. And if you see something getting wrong, speak up and say something, because the teachers are there to not only help you, but are there to also make sure that you are ensuring a safe and respectful community, regardless if it's in the classroom or in an online setting. And then, of course, in many states, schools are required to address cyberbullying in their anti-bullying policy, which a lot of schools do have those policies. It's best to review those policies. And then, of course, some state laws also cover off-campus behavior that creates hostile school environments. So now that we got that out of the way, is there anything you would like to add in terms of talking about cyberbullying, or do you have any kind of like mini personal experiences that you kind of want to mention, in terms of not naming names, but in terms of just generalized events situation-wise?
Yeah. I think when I was in high school, cyberbullying was the biggest issue for me. A lot of things that were being said about me on the internet weren't necessarily true. I would constantly get text messages just to stir up some drama. You know, just I guess just like basic things that I necessarily wouldn't have thought was like bullying or harassment, but I really enjoy not enjoy, because obviously it's terrible to read some of this research, but some of this research is really enlightening. Like you were mentioning before, some research, and then I also found an article from the Pew Research Center. It's just very like it's a big side, like a relief that there's so much research now on bullying and social media and just cyberbullying in general, because now I feel as if like I wasn't alone. I had a friend group in high school that broke apart, and every single time it broke apart multiple times, but every single time it did, they always found it a way to make it my fault. And of course, I was a teenager, and I thought it would be cool, if I just accepted that blame and stuff, but it was really taking a lot out of me. It was taking like a toll on me. Like it was always something I'm doing is wrong, or not necessarily like name calling, but it was like definitely rumors, constantly just like asking me like what I'm doing, where I'm going, very weird stuff, just trying to like stir, and then like unnecessary arguments and things like that that were very just taking a toll on me. And then it also affected my academics because I wasn't sleeping very well at night. And so yeah, that's just kind of like my personal experience.
Well, thank you, Michaela, for sharing your personal experience. And that, and going back to the laws, in the state of Connecticut, there are 13 laws that the state of Connecticut does have on the books, in terms of addressing bullying and cyberbullying. According to stopbullying.gov, Connecticut anti-bullying laws and regulations include the following definitions of bullying and cyberbullying. Bullying means an act that is direct or indirect and severe, persuasive, which A, causes physical or emotional harm to an individual, B, places an individual in reasonable fear of physical or emotional harm, C, infringes on the rights or opportunities of an individual at school. Bullying shall include but not need to be limited to a written, oral, or electronic communication or physical act or gesture based on an actual or perceived differentiating characteristics such as race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, social and economic status, academic status, physical appearance or mental, physical, developmental, or basically, in terms of basically the whole entire law, Connecticut basically defines it as basically under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, in terms of non-discriminatory actions should not be taking place against it in forms of bullying. And cyberbullying, it's an act of bullying through the use of the internet, interactive or digital technologies, cellular, mobile telephone, or mobile electronic devices, or any electronic communications, such as recording, online posting. You get the whole point. But in terms of personal experiences, I haven't personally really dealt with really cyberbullying, but I've had friends who kind of were in a situation where there was cyberbullying that was happening, and they were like, they basically kind of wanted to pull me aside and say, "Hey, I'm having like a slight issue. Can I talk to you for a few minutes?" And I said, "Yeah, you can. What's wrong?" And they're like, "Well, I've had an issue." And I'm like, "Well, was it physical, mental, or cyber?" And they're like, "Well, I kind of read this post online about from other kids that," and then they went in and talking about it, the fact that they were kind of social bullying online of kids who kind of felt the need, that fact of being different was not okay. Like everybody had to be the same, and really I kind of told the kid, I'm like, "Hey, it's okay. It's you need to ignore that, because really it's okay to be different. We're all not the same people. In terms of it, we come from different backgrounds. We have different. We got different genders, different backgrounds, physical appearances. Basically, we're all different. We're all unique people in a way where we shouldn't be picking on one another, whether it's physical or verbal or online or digital, because of the fact of we want to have the sense of control. Like really, in the sense of bullying, kind of wants to empower control on one person that affects a whole lot of us, and that is not really okay. So really, there are states who are coming forward and saying we need to put anti-bullying laws into place because we need to protect kids from bullying, and and just kind of defining the fact of it's not okay to bully. There should be punishments that should be put in place to prevent this from happening. And unfortunately, we've seen it every day, the fact of in terms of cyberbullying and physical bullying and social bullying, the effect of the effect people always seem to want to bother one another and just kind of want to ruin people's days, which is not okay. So, anything else?
Nope, that's that's about it.
Okay, folks. Well, this is Firefighter Tiger, co-host of the Public Safety Future Responders podcast, with my special guest Michaela, concluding our second episode talking about cyberbullying and the fact of it's not okay to bully people over online, just like it's not okay to do it physically. Folks, we're gonna wish you all a good night. When you're listening to this, this will be on Thursday, October 12th, 2023. So, folks, you all have a good day, and we will see you all on another edition of Operation Standby, folks. You all have a good one.